Hi everyone, I'm Aldrie, a cultural studies graduate student, and I also play massively multiplayer online role-playing game or MMORPG in short. And today I will present my observation on a gay gamer community in a MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV. What is MMORPG? MMORPG is a video game genre that lets the player to do role-playing in a virtual world alongside another players online. MMORPG players have to cooperate with other players in many aspects from battle, progressing through storylines, seasonal events, etc. Final Fantasy XIV is one of the MMORPGs that offers players various features besides role-playing, such as crafting things, housings, photo shots, and even marriage with other players. So this game doesn't always focus in saving the world, which is the main plot, but rather having a life simulation in a virtual world with another players. And the rich feature and cooperative nature of Final Fantasy XIV force the players to build interaction with one another. Such gaming pattern makes it possible for the players with mutual interests to gather and build community by using a system called fellowship. There are many fellowships in Final Fantasy XIV, from famous people fan club, hobbies, and even minorities in real life. Some fellowships have tendency to show distinct characteristics to differentiate them from one another to emphasize their identity. And for this research, I observed a fellowship of gay players in Final Fantasy XIV called Boys Love by focusing on how they construct and perform their sexual identity as part of their identity representation process. I analyzed the community's representation and gender performance within gender performativity context coined by Judith Butler. Data collection was carried out by utilizing digital ethnography method by interacting and playing with members of Boys Love community followed by interpretation process. I analyzed the meaning-making process represented through the construction of bodily image, and also the behaviors represented through verbal and nonverbal aspects from in-game interactions in order to find the discourse regarding sexual identity and the meaning-making process behind their performance in-game. I will start the discussion by looking at the representation of bodily image. One thing that I realized was most of the members of the community made their avatars as Mikote, humanoid cat, and Hrothgar, humanoid lynx. Those are two of many fantastic races that players can choose as avatar in Final Fantasy XIV. From my observation, there are almost no member who made their avatar as woman, although not few male players outside the community who made their avatar as a woman. This can be interpreted that players affirm their identity as gay men who have sexual attraction to men and they channel it into their avatars. And although it's stereotypical, slender-toned Mikote players tend to act as bottom or versatile gay, while bulky muscular Hrothgar players are mostly act more masculine. And some community members eventually pair up with other members and tie their relationship in-game with a marriage system called eternal bonding that doesn't have race or gender limitation, meaning that it allows homosexual partners to get married. Also, this year in June, a Pride March was also held in-game. That's not only joined by gay community but LGBT community in general. Now I will summarize my interview with two members of Boys Love, OF and LS. I started by asking them the motive behind creating their avatars and then how they express their sexual identity in game. OF says that he has two avatars that he plays on different servers. In the main server, he created his avatar as a Lalafell, a dwarf-like race, and he made it based on his aesthetic taste. He also added that his avatar is an exaggeration of his ideal bodily image. So OF's avatar is not a physical representation of himself in the real world, and meanwhile his second avatar that he plays in the United States data center is a male Mikote. OF said that he has been doing role-playing with fellow gay gamers at the American data center, and he points out that Mikote was the right race to represent gay figures. Roleplay performed by him and his friends also have the theme of homosexual life. Besides OF, I also interviewed LS, another player from the community. In contrast to OF in terms of avatar making, LS made his avatar by putting his real-life physical aspects into his avatar. LS wants to reimagine himself in-game because he's playing with her partner in the real world. LS and his partner are a couple from different countries who met in this game. The current pandemic condition makes it difficult for them to meet in person, and they are using Final Fantasy XIV to meet and spend time together in the virtual world. Therefore, both LS and partner make their avatars similar to themselves in the real world as much as possible by adjusting their avatar's height, skin color, eye shape, hairstyle, and even birthday to their real-life self. For LS, this game can be an extension of his life in the real world. LS lives in a country that has strict laws against LGBT community. In Final Fantasy XIV, LS feels safe to express himself as gay, and he always tries to show his sexual identity to other players. LS also created a guild, or in this game, it's known as Free Company, for LGBT players to create a safe haven for them. From the brief observations on boys' love community in Final Fantasy XIV, it can be understood that this game is no longer just a virtual reality but has become hyperreality or extended reality. For gay gamers, this game is an alternative reality for them to perform as gay without limitation. Gaymer can assert their sexual identity with the freedom to modify their avatar, which is in this case I see that the appearance can be associated with gay stereotypes in the real world. This can be interpreted as a nonverbal attempt in expressing their sexual identity. In addition, the game system that allows gamers to build homosexual relationships can be said to be an alternative for those who live in a place that doesn't accept it. Some players like LS use this platform as an extension of their real relationships because the law, policy, or agent that reinforce heteronormativity that limits homosexual relationships don't exist in this game. As stated by Judith Butler, that gender is not performative, rather we perform it, because gender is not something that exists out of nowhere. Gender is a phenomenon which is produced and reproduced from time to time. So I take Final Fantasy XIV as a stage that provides freedom for gay gamers to perform their sexual identity as it is. Seeing this phenomenon, hyperrealistic spaces like MMORPG may produce new gender performance that we may have never seen in real life. Thank you for your attention, and I'll see you in the Q&A session.